pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
President Parker,
Here.
Vice President Reforma,
Here.
Director Nee,
Here.
Director Vasquez, here, and Director Chavez.
Here. Agenda changes? None. Conflict of interest. Does any council or authority member or staff who has a direct conflict of interest on any scheduled or agenda item to be considered is to be declared at this time? Hearing none. Moving on to public comment on non-agenda items. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item that is not appearing on the agenda within the subject matter of the jurisdiction of the Keys Community Services District Board. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes, or as stated by the presiding officer. Under state law, matters presented during the public comment period cannot be discussed or acted upon. Is there any? None at this time? Moving on to presentations. None. Finances.
Good afternoon, Board President, members of the board. So, I have the same format, and if there's something you guys want to see different, just let me know. And I know accounting can be kind of boring, so I'm trying to figure out a way to make this a little bit more fun. So you guys just have to work with me here. As of February, we have $8,166,000 in our water cash fund. Out of that, we have $6,157,000 in California class, which leaves $2 million in our water general fund. The sewer cash balance is $480,000. In California class, we have $1.6 million, so that leaves us with a negative balance of $1.1 million. So that came from a payment to Jeffrey Scott Rannon, the attorney for the ex-employee. That was $952,000. So that put a very big hit in our sewer fund. The streetlight cash balance has a $335,000 balance. In California class, it has $163,000. So that leaves us with a balance in our general streetlight fund of $171,000. We have $156,000 in our sewer contingency fund. We have $101,000 in our water contingency fund. In our water capital connection, we have $1 million. In the sewer capital connection, we have $716,000. So you had asked about some of the items that would be like big ticket items that would affect our balance quite a bit. So I just added, do you guys have this in yours? I don't remember if I put that in. But this is a copy of our warrant register for the month of February. So this was last month's. So it shows the payment to Scott Rannon. That was $1.9 million for the total. So half of that came out of water and half of it came out of sewer. There was a purchase made from Owen Equipment. That was $79,000. That all went to the water fund. And then we have our City of Turlock invoice, which was $60,000. So right now we've made 4 payments to WM Lyles. We still have not received any more funding from the state, so we're waiting on that. We just received the next one, which will be due next month, and it's $2.5 million. So we're gonna have to transfer more funds from California class over to our bank account unless we receive funding.
Do we know why the state's not reimbursing?
We reached out and they said that one payment had been issued, but I haven't heard anything back from them. So I'm not sure.
That one payment was issued, correct?
The one payment that they said was issued was for the $613,000, and I don't know where it's at. They they said it was issued. The post office I have a problem with, because we have so many people that come in and they receive our payments like that the customers would submit, or we send things and they don't get them. So we were talking about would it be okay to go to Ceres, but at the same time, at the end of the day, it's still, the payments are gonna go to Ceres, to Sacramento, back to Keys, and it's gonna be them that we're gonna have to trust in, which is not a good feeling. So, and that was like a week ago, so I'm hoping they get back with us.
Okay.
What I did was I took out the monthly balances for 2024 and I just left the year-end balance for the water and the sewer and how much was in the California class and what was left in our general fund. And then I'm starting again for the 2025 fiscal year. So that's just kind of regurgitating what I said earlier. The same thing for sewer, I did as well. And then on the right-hand side, I did put how much revenue we brought in versus how much expenses. And so in February, it was the negative balance, and that was because of those 2 ticket items. I don't know why Nick keeps disappearing.
Keeps getting bumped off.
Yeah. The street lights, I did the same thing, so I left off with our year-end cash balance and then started for 2025. Well, I have the city of Turlock bills listed, and then the geoanalytical, which is for the charges to test the TCP.
Okay.
And then our California class cash amounts. Is there something you want me to add to that? Something you want me to do different?
Do you guys understand? We're gonna have our workshop pretty soon to help put this stuff down.
I like how they are on here. Easy to read.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna go down, Michelle, thank you.
Thank you. I know it's kind of boring, so sorry.
I like that a lot better though.
Good.
Well, thank you.
Alright. Moving out of,
Okay, Mr. President, may I make a brief comment?
you can?
Okay, for the record, my name is Steve Morrow. I know at the Transit Authority, we have been noticing that the federal government has been really slowing down payments on promised grants. So possibly maybe that's affecting the state slowdown, why some of the state funding hasn't been paid. Because if the state doesn't receive it from the feds, then they can't push it down. So we know that what's going on in DC is having some effects, and that could be a possible reason why that payment is being delayed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Steve.
They just don't want to come out and say it.
Yeah. Consent agenda, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye. Moving on to discussion and possible action items. Action item A, discussion and possible action to approve the warrant. We already did that, right? That's all part of the consent agenda, or no?
No, this was separate. You wanted it.
Oh, I just pulled it out,
Yeah.
okay. No motion to approve the warrant registry for March 25, 2025.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor? Aye. Action item B, discussion of possible action to approve the reserve policy.
This is you again, Michelle.
Okay. Mr. President, members of the board, at the January meeting, we tabled the reserve policy to allow time for further discussion and refinement of the policy. The information that President Parker requested has been reviewed with CSDA, and based on their input, we have been advised to revisit the policy for revision. Currently, the reserve policy that was presented to the board is considered too aggressive and requires a more thorough review. Specifically, we need to reassess the items outlined in the policy and the amounts proposed to be set aside. Traditionally, reserve policies are based on a percentage of the operating budget for each fund. This policy should be revisited annually and amended as needed to ensure alignment with our financial goals and operational realities. I would like to ask the board to approve tabling the reserve policy for now, allowing us to work with CSDA to revise and bring back an amended policy that better aligns with our budgetary framework. Additionally, we are in the process of conducting a rate study, which is another important factor to consider as we make these revisions. I spoke with Rick Wood from CSDA, and that's a feature that CSDA offers, and he said he's available this week and he has no problem going over it and helping us fine tune it.
Okay. That would be tables, right? No, that's a table out there. Thank you. Item C, discussion of possible action to change from, how is it? Umpqua Bank to the Community West Bank.
Okay. In 2023, Gilbert Brazil of Community West Bank reached out to the district to inquire about our banking relationship. At that time, we informed him that we were satisfied with our current bank, but we would keep his information for future reference. In the summer of 2024, Gilbert reached out to us to check in and see how we were doing, and at that time he requested some statements for analysis. After reviewing the statements, he identified potential cost savings by switching to Community West Bank. Based on the findings, we have decided to move forward with the transition from Umpqua Bank to Community West Bank. We wanted to keep the board informed about the change, and we're happy to provide any additional details as needed. So with Umpqua Bank, they have a night deposit. Community West. When we go to Umpqua Bank, sometimes we're standing there for a good 15-20 minutes. There's 2 tellers, it's very small, and at times you wonder where they're at, and so you're just standing there. With Community West, you could just drive up, drop it, off you go. They'll email the deposit slips. They also have a feature for their savings to where they can give us as much interest as people earn off of LAIF, which is like what the county makes, but not what we receive from the county. Their customer service is phenomenal. I feel they're very, very persistent. They keep in touch with you, and they're constantly wanting to know how are things going. Even though we were not their member, they were reaching out asking us how we were doing. I think it would be a really good transition, and it's something we would like to move with.
And they will provide a credit card terminal?
They will provide the credit card terminal versus you taking somebody's card and inputting their information, which that's always a good thing. Some people don't like to give up their card.
Where's this bank at? I've never seen it.
So it's where Chevy's used to be on Sylvan.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
And one thing that they were really, really like pushed on was the fact that they give back to the community. So, and I thought that was pretty good. If you have no objections, we would like to move with it.
Any public comment? None at this time. Board discussion and deliberation. Any questions? Do I have a motion allowing staff to change from Amtrak Bank to Community West Bank?
I'll make the motion to change banks.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Discussion of possible, discussion and consider declaring a 123 TSP project exempt from county approval process as a utility involving provisions of water under California Government Code Section 53091.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, the staff report on the concrete masonry unit. One of the conditions for approval for a building permit by the county planning department is a setback for the 8-foot CMU block wall, a minimum of 15 feet from property line. The designed CMU perimeter wall setback is approximately 1 foot from property line. And a 15-foot setback would restrict access to the site and create issues for maintenance and repairs. The analysis, this wording came from an inquiry to ChatGPT by Michelle Harris, so that's what I used. But this morning, Christy Dowd, Deputy Director of Planning, sent us an email and the following Government Code Section 53091. If you will look down to B, it states, building ordinances of a county or city shall not apply to the location or construction of facilities for the production, generation, storage, treatment, or transmission of water, wastewater, or electrical energy by a local agency. E states zoning ordinances of a county or city shall not apply to the location or construction of facilities for the production, generation, storage, and treatment, or transmission of water. So with that, Christy Dowd stated that if the Board of Directors were to declare that under this government code that we would be exempt from building and planning conditions of approval, that all she would need was the minutes of this meeting for their records. So based on that, the recommendation would be that the Board of Directors declare that the 123 TCP project is exempt from county approval process as a utility involving provision of water under California Government Code Section 53091. But before you proceed in discussion and motions to approve, for the benefit of our new board members, and of course this is videotaped for the viewing public, I would like to give a little background regarding this issue. In December of 2017, the California Regional Water Quality Control Board adopted a regulation promulgating a maximum contaminant level for 123 TCP of 5 parts per trillion. At one time or another, all 4 of our wells have tested positive for this chemical. At the present time, only wells number 7 and 10 are exceeding this level. Without any means of removing this chemical, we are currently listed as a failing water system with the Water Board. In October 2022, the district received a grant of $10.4 million from the federal bipartisan infrastructure law for the construction of a filtration plant to remove this chemical. 2 years went by before we were ready to begin work on this project. The project was bid last year. Lowest bid was by W.M. Lyle's company from Bakersfield for $12.7 million. The estimated reasonable project cost is now $15 million. The State Water Board agreed to increase our project costs on the condition that we contribute with our own money to the tune of $2.3 million. Now, we could have saved the $2.3 million by eliminating the installation of these filters at well 9, since TCP has not been detected there for about 5 years. But what if the chemical were to return in the future? We would have no way to treat it and would render well 9 inoperable. Mike Jones and Kevin Schoen came up with the idea that we could go forward with the filtration at well 9 if we could use the filters to treat the arsenic in our water instead. If the TCP were to appear again, we would only have to change the filter media to granular activated carbon and we'd be back in business. Furthermore, if our ATF ever had to be shut down for maintenance, these filters could treat all our water for arsenic, and that thereby eliminating the need to have an additional storage tank. Niles began work at the centralized plant located at Jenny and Brianna Streets in late October. On November 19th of 2024, the county stormwater program manager stopped by the project site and informed the contractor and our inspector that a building permit was required for construction of the on-site improvements, or the project was going to be shut down by the county. When I was informed of this, Michelle Harris and I immediately went to the county to apply for a building permit. We paid the fees and apologized for the oversight. We believed that the district was exempt because when we built our ATF in 2018-2019 we did it without any involvement from the county building and planning department. Since then, we have been struggling to comply with the conditions for approval. Complying with their conditions for approval would hinder the intended maintenance and operation of the project as designed. We're trying our best to work with the county, submitting the required corrections list, but the disdain and crude remarks in response by Building Inspector Supervisor Mike Peterson in the report dated February 21st, 2025 did not sit well with us, to put it mildly. When I was informed by this by a project engineer, I instructed Nick to respond with a letter objecting to his lack of respect for our consultants and our agency. Knowing how important our relationship with the county has been for many years, I contacted Supervisor Chance Condit to ensure that this issue could be resolved amiably and to put this issue behind us. Supervisor Condit arranged a meeting at his office on Tuesday, March 18th to see if we could resolve this matter. The meeting was attended by myself, Supervisor Condit, Building Inspector Mike Peterson, Deputy Director of Planning Christy Dowd, Project Engineer Nick Fontaine, and Mario Gavea, President and owner of Gavea Engineering Incorporated, and our Utilities Director, Mike Jones. I began the meeting by first thanking everyone for attending, and then I proceeded to apologize for not applying for a building permit for a project. I then went on to explain that it was an oversight on our part because in 2018-2019, when we built our 20 million ATF, there was little, if any, involvement by the county building and planning department. Mr. Peterson's response, and I'm paraphrasing, was that your ATF permits will be expiring soon and we're going to be going there to inspect. I responded by saying that you're more than welcome to do that. But the county does not issue a water system permit. The state water boards do that. When we addressed his crude remarks in the corrections list, he simply, what I took as a smirk, and said, "It got your attention, didn't it?" Mario simply responded that that was a very negative way of doing that. We were treated badly at that meeting by Mr. Peterson, to say the least. Christy Dowd was very pleasant and informed us that there was a government code that would exempt our water system from planning conditions. She said she would send us the code, but she didn't send it until this morning, and that's why I replaced that staff report with that. The analysis anyway. When the meeting ended, Mr. Peterson told us that now we should go talk to Public Works. He told us to go to the 4th floor and talk with Isael Ojeda regarding their conditions. We went to see Isael, but we were informed that he was not in, but would be in the following day, Wednesday. Early Wednesday morning, I sent an email to Israel asking if Nick Fontaine and I could have a full conversation with him at 2 p.m. Mr. Ojeda did not respond to my email until 2:08 p.m., stating that he would be available all day Friday until 3:30 p.m. I immediately responded with an email asking if we could call him at 2 p.m. on Friday. He did not respond. Thursday afternoon, I sent Mr. Ojeda an email informing him that we would not be calling him Friday at 2 p.m. because of a serious family matter with our project engineer, even though the requested phone call had not been confirmed. I asked Mr. Ojeda if we could schedule a date and time the following week at his convenience. He has yet to respond. No response is a response. It is simply saying you don't matter and I'm thumbing my nose at you. After discussing this issue with President Parker, he directed staff to send an invitation with an agenda to Mr. Peterson, Mr. Ojeda, and Ms. Dowd for tonight's meeting. President Parker wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to respond to our statements. I noticed that none of them are on the Teams meeting, but Christy Dowd did say that she could not attend, but she did send her that California code. Now, this is a very, very important project that we must complete for the health and safety of our residents. Once complete, I can personally look anyone in the eye and ensure them that our drinking water is very safe to drink. There are families in our community that are afraid to drink water from the faucet, especially pregnant women, mothers with concern for their children, and their elderly parents. They are spending their hard-earned money to pay for bottled water, which is not regulated. Our water is filtered at our ATF daily. If you do the math, you'll find that for 1 penny, you get 5 gallons of freshly filtered and treated water. Mr. Peterson isn't here present, he isn't on the Teams meeting, but if he were, I would just simply would want to ask him why there's so much animosity and disrespect for our agency. Now, there are other conditions of approval that we must contend with because this government code does not give us exemptions from stormwater regulations or local fire marshal conditions for approval. The condition for the fire marshal state that we need to install fire extinguishers every 75 feet at our location. This is a water filtration plant. Mike and Kevin and I were there yesterday afternoon and we figured that we needed to install at least 5 fire extinguishers throughout. And if Mike and Kevin were ever to be there, they have one in their vehicle, that would be 7 fire extinguishers for this. To me, that's simply a waste of taxpayer money and we need to protest this. Now, the other thing is that we've got the stormwater regulations that are directing us to install vegetative swales throughout the site so that the rainwater can go in there. And when we have a drain inlet at the very northwest corner of our property, it can be used to divert the stormwater over to that big pond that the county uses for stormwater issues. So, again, I needed to inform the board of the issues that we are having. I sent Vito Piazza, our illustrious former supervisor, informing him of this meeting and what the contentions were. And I simply told them that I know that you have a special place in your heart for our community. You have proven that time and again. And I'm not asking you to be at the meeting and take our side. I'm just asking for you to be present and judge for yourself. So with that, I'll turn it back to the board or to, I don't know if Mario wants to say anything.
I think you said it very well, Ernie. Thank you.
I think,
Oh, go ahead, Sid.
I think for sure we need to do the fire extinguishers.
Yeah.
You know, that's a,
no-brainer.
we don't want to.
It's not our, I think it's the amount, and it's not that, Bill, it's just that, like at the ATF, we have fire extinguishers on each end of the building in there. That's the main place they would be an issue. Everything's outside except for a building. We wouldn't have no problem putting the ones in the building or, that's there, small building. But if there needs to be a couple of them, but if you put them every 75 feet, like they're saying, that you're gonna be putting them outside, they could get vandalized. That's an issue. It's not like inside a building or, I mean, like, as we were talking about, that we will be parking like a couple of their vehicles there, some other stuff. They'll probably have fire extinguisher on there, so there will be some that can be there. I don't know if that satisfies them.
Oh, Mike, why don't we show our pictures that you took to show to the board as to the project sites and what's happening there?
If you want Nick and Dennis to see it, you do share.
I say we just do what the fire marshal wants.
Yeah,
Our battles.
I'm pretty sure
Let's pick our battles.
there's a canopy area in there, you can put one outside the canopy area, but there's
As long as we can keep that
the
wall.
rec staff to meet the standards laid out by the
Now they can
local
see it.
fire marshal, that's
Yeah, okay. So, like, explain to them what they're looking at up there.
I'll go over this. This is well 9, just wanted to kind of give you guys an update of where everything's at, and then we can kind of show you on the 1, 2, 3 of the central site. So filter pad that's been completed. This will be a little building here for chemicals. May or may not. Well, we will be using a little chlorine there. And then back here is the almond area, orchard area where the basin will be going. They just started work on that. Michelle, could you move it? I don't know if you can move it over there because the arrow,
Coming along nicely.
Where would you like me to?
there was an arrow on the right hand side, but I don't know if you can get, oh, right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's a couple of them. We could probably just go to the ATF because most of these are just different versions of well 9 we had. I had Christy throw a little bit better view of that, the basin where they're working at. Should be one more picture, I think, and then should go to the, I don't know what happened.
Where is
Well, it moved to,
the central site?
it's saying one of them's corrupted for some reason. Can it go to another one? Or no?
I like these
Wow.
drone pictures. It's nice.
Yeah.
Good job.
There it is.
Where is
You
it?
just
They're
passed it up.
all,
There you go.
they're not coming
I
up.
saw it. You keep,
It's just not-
We should got a double link when she
No, I,
Just a little sneak peek.
darn. Can you just exit out up there and, no, oh, that's all right.
Where you want?
Go back to the file explorer, see if it, yeah, see if you could just open one of those
Yeah,
up
there
right
you
there. GAC, just see if you can open up that, the first GAC one there. Maybe it'll work this time.
There you
Oh,
go.
there we go.
yeah, okay.
So, again, Ernie was talking about the wall. It would be only a foot back from the sidewalk around the side. And if we had to do what they're requesting, 20 foot, we'd be way up here. And where the entrance is, I'm sure we wouldn't get the truck for delivery with our stage structure here now. We wouldn't be able to get that truck in this area to get back to the filters. They need to be able to get access. And then there's an exit out here on this side. So, and if you did it over here, you're narrowing it up, so if we're trying to put equipment in here, we're kind of limiting our area. Like he said, it just narrows it down. So, yeah, so anyway, they've got the shade structure up right now. That pad's poured, there may be a different view of that, and then there's the tank is somewhat ready to pour. I think they still have to put rebar or stuff in there, but I think they were asking about maybe modifying the size of that, and I'm not sure if that's resolved yet.
The tank or the pad?
The tank. I think there was some questions of the area fit, how well it fits there, and possibly make it just a little smaller and maybe a slightly taller. That's my understanding. Yeah, so
Still the same capacity?
yeah, it would still be the same. Yeah. So I don't know if you could move on one of those other pictures now. There might be there's a little bit better view, and you can see the tank back there, or the tank for where the tank would be at. So I don't think if it did get raised up, I don't think it would be any taller than the homes there or right in that area. So I think we discussed that in the past. It would be roughly, it was supposed to be about the height of the PAL building. So it's still, it's not like it's way up above or anything. Can you move another screen? There's a little bit better view of it. As I say, they just dropped off some above ground piping and stuff. So I think Kevin was mentioning that I think the filters are supposed to be here in June. So they still got a few months before we get those. We've been staying busy on pretty much everything else.
Not much
I
room
think
for
that's-
vegetative swales.
So, and then, he has I think it might be coming up to the video. Ernie had a little short video of the block wall that we'd be putting in, and kind of similar deal where it'd be right behind the walk.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
Right there.
That's in Livingston, that's what we designed it at.
And that's a well with a TCP treatment plant.
You
Yeah.
see the vessels in the back.
That's very good. And we did that one about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
I think it was.
Alright, so we need a motion to direct staff to draft a resolution declaring that the TCP treatment facility will be exempt under Government Code 53091.
Correct.
Okay, even though they should already know that. And then also still directing staff that they figure out a way to comply with the fire marshal's request for fire suppression. But regards to the storm drainage, that's a difficult one.
Yeah, that's the lady was going to stop our project. She was the one who said you better get a building
But
permit.
is the storm drainage it also exempt under that government code? I don't know.
Well, there's gotta be exemptions to everything, so, I mean, if we take it to the board of supervisors and say, this is, we're trying to comply, but, and you have a perfect, I don't know, but it looks like a good storm drain system to me. I don't know what it's rated at. I asked Mike if he had access to any information of it, but to me, it looks like it could take a 50-year storm, no issue. But, and then the other side of the coin is we haven't had any flooding since '97. Matter of fact.
As long as we can get that, keep our block wall where it needs to be, the other stuff I need to work with, right?
There you go.
We can work with a little bit of dirt, soil, and fire extinguishers.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah. And that's for a stop sign.
But the block wall is That's gotta stay.
And I would like to request a stop sign. So,
Yes.
right? That was my one thing, if we're creating a safety hazard, or in their eyes, can they assist in putting a stop sign on that corner? So it's not-
Yeah.
If it's that serious, then it's
Yeah.
better to be that serious.
Making it a four-way stop, cause Brianna is
Correct.
stopped on both sides.
Correct.
Yeah, so,
Word corrected, Dennis? Understood, Michelle?
so I can make a motion here if you guys are.
Yeah. Yeah, we need a
So-
motion.
Okay, I'm gonna make the motion, let me get this straight here. I'm gonna make the motion that, we go ahead with, code, 53091. Exempting, is that?
Yeah, that will exempt
Yeah,
us.
that will exempt us from, the county code, so we can move forward with this project.
Yes.
One second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The hard part's done. Items from the general manager.
Maintenance and, no, starts administrator.
Yes. All right, in February, we billed 1,476 customers. We received a total revenue of $224,000 from water, sewer, and streetlights. We received $6,000 more in January of this year than we did last year, and we spent $1.9 million more. And we went over the reasons why for those 2 ticket items.
That's the one-time shop though, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
At this time, we have $8 million in the water fund. 6 of that is in California class. We are negative $1.1 million in our sewer fund, and we have $1.6 million in California class. We have $335,000 in our streetlight fund, and $163,000 of that is in California class. I still have the classes here for the Special District Leadership Academy in case anybody's interested. And the ethics and sexual harassment are due. Ron is the only one that's done that so far. And then the Saturday workshop was something that you wanted to talk about, President Parker,
Say that again?
the Saturday workshop. So we had
You-
scheduled it for the 29th, but not everybody can show up.
Right, so I said pick another date. We said extend the meeting.
Yeah, and I told him that you would do that.
It's just me, right?
It's good.
That's good. So I just need a Saturday that everybody's available.
Cody said he's available every other Saturday starting the 5th.
Yeah, I'm available the 5th, the 19th, May 3rd.
That April the 5th?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I take that back. My partner just called me and said he has a funeral in Colorado. I'm not available April 5th.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
But, you know, if my schedule doesn't work with you guys, I can do it on Zoom. I really don't want to, but I will.
Well, we'll make it work with your schedule. Because it's gonna be coming up to us redoing our budget anyway, so we need to be there. Because this will roll right into us setting our budget for next year, and our next year's budget is critical because we have 0 money,
Yeah.
right? So we need to be there, we need to be one team and all present, so.
Is May too far? May 3rd? Is that too far out?
When do we have to set our budget by? June or July?
We generally give you a preliminary budget in April and then bring it back in May for final approval so that we can have a month extra,
Yeah.
but because we gotta do it by June. So, but,
So if we do it the what's that, what's 2 weeks off the 5th?
it's April 19th, you
19th.
can
No,
make that.
that's Easter, that won't be there.
May 3rd,
Okay,
cutting it kinda close, but
that's okay.
Well, that also might give Clayton more time to get his stuff done too, so we might know more about the rate study as well.
Okay,
So it might work out.
okay. May 3rd, 9:00. May 3rd, 9:00. And Ron, you can pick the venue.
No.
No? No?
I've never been there, so.
Yeah, plenty of time, plenty of time to go. Where is it? What is it? It's in Turlock. It's just, it's a Syrian restaurant. It's really good.
okay.
Eating right.
No, that's the only thing that I have.
Okay.
For the maintenance, well, it showed you where 123 TCP's at. They will be doing a tie-in on Jenny and 9th Street, and at the end of Mod. There's 2 sections that tie the transmission line in, and they'll be doing that. Plan is for Thursday. They have to be working there the last couple of days, so they'll be there. I don't know if they'll be there tomorrow, but they definitely should be back on Thursday, so avoid that intersection if you can. And that should get, I think that'll pretty much take care of all the tie-ins as far as the water lines, if I'm not missing any. So that part should be, they obviously have to come back and repave and set the valve boxes and stuff like that, but shouldn't be as much in the road. Trias Trucking, they will be on Golden State. The contractor for them will be doing, there's 5 hot taps to be done. So 5 water connections to their place. 2 of them are, one's a fire hydrant and 2 are basically a looping fire line for the fire over there. And then 1 for domestic and 1 for irrigation. So they're going to be there for the next couple of days. They were there today, so they will be down to 1 lane for most of the day for the next couple of days on Golden State. Try to avoid that. That's about all I have for the sewer. I wanted to give you guys and to print this off later. This is some of the sampling that we've done. And let me give everybody a copy, and then I'll kind of explain what you see. So if you see the ones in the blue that says Crosstown, that's basically this side of the highway. Everything in there. So the BODs tends to be between 350. Well, there's one as high as 450, but I would say average between 350 and 400 for BODs, and a lot lower on the suspended solids from this side of the freeway. The one in the middle there is that's the truck wash. On the bottom, I renamed it, but up at the top, that was how I wrote it in on our chain of custody, so I just left that on there. So those are basically the same. The truck wash and the separator are the same. So you see the high numbers. It was really a high one, the first one we got. Suspended solids wasn't as high, so they're kind of all over the place there, I guess, for the 3 readings. Obviously, there's quite, I mean, even that you could say they're still higher. They're a lot higher than our domestic sewage. So the ones in the pink there on February, manhole, lift station, that is everything combined. Those numbers look fairly consistent with the Crosstown, and they probably, it's just with their work over there, it's hit and miss to whether you're going to get a sample that has that in there. So that's why we've been trying to catch them over there. It's just hard. Either if we're, have the availability, we go over there, there's nobody, they're not doing anything, so there's no flow to capture. If we show up late over there, we see evidence that they may have been there doing their work and already gone. So we've tried, but they've got to wash down and they've got to actually push some water through there because it's not coming 24/7. But
Wow.
it does appear that, I mean, they're, as I suspected, they are probably the main contributor to that on there. And we will collect a few more samples. We're working on our, still finishing up getting our permit drawn up to reflect basically City of Turlock's, for lack of better, we're just copying and pasting what they have, putting our name and where it needs to be, and I mean that's essentially what we need to be doing, is passing on the permit. So we're almost there.
Quick question.
Yeah.
What BOD does Turlock, City of Turlock generally fuss about? I can't remember.
Well, it's so we're allowed so many pounds per day. So if you, I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head, roughly around 450,000 gallons of wastewater we could send down there in our permits, maybe slightly above that. When you sampled,
513,000.
no, I think we dropped it down, didn't we? Is it 513 still? Okay, somewhere around a half a minute. Okay, so when you take one of these samples, if you do the math, basically, okay, if you have, say, for easier is 1 million gallons. 1 million gallons, you multiply it times the weight of water times however milligrams per liter this is, a lab sample is. You multiply that across, it'll give you how many pounds that is, and that's their calculation. Now, pounds is, I think if you wanted to go back to the BOD's milligrams, I think it's around 400 milligrams or 450 milligrams per liter that is it would be equivalent to our limit. And maybe a little bit more on the suspended solids, which we probably have a higher limit on suspended solids than if we could keep these numbers similar to what we have from the crosstown. We wouldn't probably need as that much. There probably should have been a mechanism in the past whenever we went to Turlock, either purchasing more capacity, that you had a standard, whatever your BODs are, your suspended solids, and you would increase your poundage per day or whatever you're allowed down there in your permits, based on all that. Somewhere along the line, I think they was purchasing capacity, flow capacity, but wasn't purchasing BOD and suspended solid, so your loading capacity. And then one other one, the one that says Jessup Road, that has the real low number, has a 2 and non-detect. That is from their boiler system. That is from the feed mill itself. Not completely, entirely the feed mill. That's just, there's 2 separate lines. There's one line that goes to the boiler and there's one line that goes to the front building. I don't know that there's any activity on the front building other than bathrooms, really. So they did mention that they thought that should be very low, almost drinking water type of wastewater that was coming out of there, and I don't see a reason to keep getting samples from that. I can take a sample and see that it's very clear, pristine looking water. Here,
You were right.
yeah, the separators are where to take that and follow up with them more. That's pretty much all I have. Oh, do you want me to mention anything about what we discussed about the sewer?
Sure, no problem.
So, just for kind of background, when I started, we had the 4 wells. We actually had 5. We had well 6 was active then, but 4 groundwater wells. We didn't do any treatment, and the collection system. We've upgraded since, but same 3 lift stations. So, at least for, our maintenance, employee salaries, it's probably justified to say they were 50-50 on, charges to the water and the sewer system. Since then, with the treatment and the water system, a little bit more demand on there, there's a little bit more time and energy, to the water side of it. Maybe I could probably real quick and easily say 60% of our salary should be charged to water and 40% for sewer. So, and that may be not even just on salaries. Some of the equipment that we purchase that we're only doing tools 50-50, those could be probably justified to adjust some of those charges out, which could help the sewer system out. And that's something that Ernie brought up that, after we looked at it, it's like, easily justifiable that we could start charging those bills. Like, we're gonna hurt the water system. I'm assuming it can handle a little bit better, but it might help the sewer system until rates are evaluated.
Okay. Seth? So, if that's it, already, we're gonna go ahead and open session disclosure regarding closed session items pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. We're going to go into closed session for the public employee performance evaluation.